Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm Lisa Curcio. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I'm here to share with you my love of paper crafting. I've got a super simple but great card for you tonight using a stamp set called Enjoy Life. I'm going to give you a quick peek of it here. I know it's going to probably be backwards, maybe. I'm thinking maybe yes with YouTube Live. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for coming by. And if you're returning, it's so good to see a familiar face. Please chime in and say hello and tell me where you're from. I love to see where everybody's coming in from and watching live. You know it's live. Feel free to chime in with questions if you've got them. Leave them in the comments below. I'll do my best to catch them at the end of the broadcast. You know, one of the great things about the brand new catalog is the immense variety of products that are in here. And tonight I want to feature a designer series paper, and it's called Garden Impressions, and it coordinates with the Abstract Impressions stamp set. Now, if you already follow me on YouTube, you have probably seen me use that card in today's video, Abstract Impressions. I made the wreath. If you missed it, please head over and watch it. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on tonight's project. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit closer so you get a better view. And I'm going to turn on an additional light. That'll give us a little bit better lighting. And I'm going to get my iPad going here so I can see your comments. There's a lot of you joining me live. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for being with me. One more close-up of that stamp set I was just showing you. I'm telling you what, if you haven't paid much attention to this in the new catalog, it is really fantastic, and I would encourage you to do so. Oh, let me turn off that sound. I'm sorry. The great thing about the stamp set is the silhouette images, and I'm going to be actually using this evening, and I'm going to give you some tips on adding additional color. I'm going to be using some designer series paper. And in the annual catalog, I've marked the page. It's page 191, and it's here at the top. And like I said in the intro, it's called Garden Impressions. Now, I don't know about you, but those tend to be really, really small and hard to see. So I've gone ahead and I've pulled out a little bit of each one, and I want to show them to you close up. I think oftentimes those little pictures can be deceiving. This 6x6 designer series paper stack is double-sided, so you're going to be able to see two different patterns here. So the front and the back giving you lots of options. If you're not really a flower person, I am, but if you're not, the great thing about this is there's beautiful abstract colored backgrounds on this paper that make it quite versatile. And for those of you that like to fussy cut, boy, you've got some really great images there to use as well. This one's really pretty as well. You know what? They're all really gorgeous, aren't they? And then another subtle back card. That would be great for a baby card. And this one would really be great for masculine cards as well, wouldn't it? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Again, this coordinates with the Abstract Impressions stamp set. And here's one other. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm thinking if I hold it a little bit closer, you can see they almost look like little poppies. And then a very generic background here as well. And then one more. I love the subtle colors in this one and that beautiful blue. I can see using this one with a nautical stamp set to create a real beautiful water kind of background here. Designer papers with Stampin' Up! Are incredibly versatile, giving you lots of options. The other great thing you might not know about the designer papers with Stampin' Up! Is if they have a theme like for an occasion, let's say perhaps it's birthday, typically the other side is gender and neutral, which means you can use it all year round and it's not necessarily color specific. So that's just a good tip for you if you're into designer series papers like I am. Now, if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in the brand new catalog, I would be happy to send you a complimentary copy. Just leave me a comment below in today's video. All right, so I've got a piece of Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm going to pull out my bone folder. I forgot to grab that. And I'm going to start by folding that in half. Now, I know some of you tell me, oh, I prefer to score. That's totally fine. Go ahead and score. I'm a big fan of my bone folder, though, because I like that nice crisp edge on my card. And this is just going to be my card base for tonight. Again, I'm going to tell you this is going to be super simple. If you walk away, you're probably going to miss it. This piece of Whisper White cardstock, I'm going to use a little bit of a decorative corner. And this is the Detailed Trio Punch. If you're here from YouTube, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel so that you can join me with all the inspiration and the tips that I share with you. I just recently, last week I believe it was, on Thursday, shared a video about using this, not just for these 3 ways, but I had 2 additional ways you could use it. I'm going to create a little bit of a decorative corner in the upper right side of this cardstock. This decorative corner right here is going to make this really pretty filigreed flower. I'm going to slip that in, and you're going to see the paper guides here and here on both sides. Make sure you leave it flat on your work surface. It's going to be a lot easier to use with the palm of your hand, which you're going to compress on the actual side that you're going to be using. So I'm just going to press down, and you're going to see that we've got that real pretty negative image. So I'm going to set that aside, move those scraps out of the way. That designer series paper I just shared with you, I cut a 1-inch strip. Now I know this is going to be a hair longer, but I did that on purpose because I want to give you a tip about designer series paper. I don't know about you, but have you ever cut your cardstock or your paper and you're going to do a layer? That's the intention. And you end up just like a smidgen too short on one side. Well, here's a tip. Make sure you cut it just a little bit longer than what you're going to need. And I'm going to give you a trimming tip here in just a second. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet. Whenever I'm working with a small margin of area here, I always like to use this so I can keep my work surface sticky free. Adhesive will not stick to this, which is one reason why I absolutely love it. It rubs right off. It's great for adhesive, it's great for glue, and it's even great for hot glue. One time buy, you'll have it forever. I've also cut myself a small piece of So Saffron cardstock, and I thought this coordinated really pretty. So I want to do a little bit of a decorative edge here at the bottom. I'm going to place my adhesive along this one side. I prefer to do little tiny strips. Now here's where that silicone craft sheet is just coming in like a dream, because I am getting a little bit on here, but you can see that it's not sticking. Obviously, if I had done that on here, it's going to stick quite a bit, and then we're going to be fighting that all night. So I'm just going to line this up, and I'm looking for just a small margin of color at the bottom. I'm looking to make it even, just as even as I possibly can. I don't work very well without my grid paper, and I kind of ditched it tonight because I thought you'd be able to see a little bit better with this. So I've got that going on here. The next thing I want to do is I want to line this up on the bottom of that piece of Whisper White cardstock. And what I'm looking to do is make a small mark with my mechanical pencil. If I can find it, it just rolled right off of my table. Doesn't that just figure? Okay, I guess we'll use this one. I'm going to make a small mark here and here. And I know it's going to be really difficult to see in the live stream. And I did it faintly because in case it shows, I can go ahead and erase it. I don't want to mess up the cording that I've got for the video camera, but I want to talk to you about the pencil that I typically use. It's a Bic mechanical pencil. Not only is the lid really, start over. Not only is the lead really soft, but the eraser works like a charm. So I'm not plugging for Bic, but I have to tell you, it's really a wonderful pencil to use for your paper crafts, especially if you're just doing some positioning. The reason I've put that line there is because now I want to do a little bit of stamping. So let me move that off to the side. And from that Enjoy Life stamp set, I've pulled out this little cluster of what I'm going to call flowers. It doesn't really look like flowers though if you look at it because there's no color to it. But I'm going to give you another tip about that tonight. I'm going to use my Night of Navy ink pad, and these are the brand new ink pad cases. Same ink you've come to know and love, just a new style case. Love these. I find the ink cover just 10 times better than it used to be. So they flip open like a compact, and then it's going to slide shut. And then I'm going to ink this up. And I'm just tapping and traveling. And as a habit, I always look to make sure I don't have ink around the outside circumferences of my stamp. That's one of the things a lot of people tell me is that that happens to them and they get that shadow. So I'm looking for that line, which I told you you probably aren't going to be able to see. And I'm going to do firm, even pressure. Now this stamp set is actually photopolymer. Do you see how it's completely clear? And do you see how the stamp actually turned the color of the ink? Now there's a difference between photopolymer and clear mount stamps. A clear mount stamp actually has red rubber, although it uses the same clear blocks to mount it. I'm just going to throw that right off camera there over on my Stampin' Scrub, or your brand new Stampin' Chamois if you have one of those. Those are fantastic. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the Mango Medley ink pad. Same thing, we're gonna open it up, and I've pulled out one of the greetings from the stamp set. One of the reasons I really like this is not only the sentiments for the outside, but the greetings for the inside as well. Lots of versatility here. Not just for girls or just for guys. You can see that we've got a little bit of everybody here that can be included for a card. So I've chosen Thank You Kindly, and I'm gonna ink that up in the mango, and I'm gonna stamp that over off on this side. Lots of firm, even pressure. The great thing about photopolymer is positioning. I absolutely love that. I've also pulled out a little butterfly, and this is solid, and there's two actually inside the set. There's one that's a full butterfly, and then there's another that's actually faced a little bit sideways, so like a profile. And that's the one I'm using tonight. And I'm gonna stamp this one up here near this flower bud. All right, so we've got some color going on there. This now comes in the area of where I want to give you the tip about adding some extra color. I'm going to bring in that So Saffron ink. This is going to coordinate with that strip of cardstock I added to the bottom of the Designer Series paper here. I thought, well, this is really kind of pretty, but it needs more color. So this is a crazy idea that worked so awesome. Are you guys ready? All right, remember that pencil? You want a pencil with a brand new eraser so that it's nice and flat and nice and round. Experiment. See what you've got at home that maybe is even smaller than this that might work really, really well. I'm going to start with the So Saffron, and I'm going to dip my pencil right inside of there. There is ink there. Now watch what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start adding a little bit of color to those little blooms that are all blue. Now I tried to use markers, but it's not going to work. And do you know why? Because this dye-based ink mixes with the dye-based marker and therefore creates a real muddied look. If you're going to use a marker, you're going to have to be really careful not to touch that blue because it's going to pick up that pigmentation. And I'm going to do a little bit down here where this won't. Now here's another great tip. You can put this right on your chamois or right on your Stampin' Scrub. I actually have mine just off camera. So I'm just wetting it and I'm drying it. And you're probably thinking, no way. Yeah, it really works. I'm just gonna tap it to make sure that it's clean. I'm gonna close this up, and then I'm gonna switch over to the mango. And the exact same thing, same pencil. I have not changed pencils. So this is gonna work really well. So I'm gonna tap that, and I'm gonna apply a little bit more color. So I've got one here, another here, and do you see how I'm separating them so they're not all clustered together? And I'm careful not to cover all of them. I just want to provide a little bit of pop of color here and there. And I think we'll do one more down here. All right, so we've got a little bit of color there. Again, right off camera on my Stampin' Scrub, and we'll go ahead and close this ink pad as well. Here comes the easy part. I'm going to bring that silicone craft sheet right back in, and I've got my cardstock here, and we're going to add some adhesive to this strip. And I'm going to be a little bit more generous than I might normally be because I want to make sure that this doesn't lift. Boy, there's nothing more embarrassing than when you send your card in the mail to someone and it gets there and it's all disheveled, right? Which means your designer paper came a little bit crooked. I always am cognizant that it's also going to go through the mail meter. So this line right now can be erased, and of course my pencil rolled right off my stamp table. I don't think it's going to show. I'm going to compensate for that a little bit by leaving a little bit of white at the bottom here. And I know that's going to be difficult to see, but I'll hold it up for you in just a second, leaving a little bit of an edge. Now, do you see how we left this longer? Remember how we talked about, I don't know how good of a cutter you are, but sometimes we are just a hair off, and it's really noticeable when you go to place it on a dark layered cardstock. So cut this layer a little bit longer, and then we're going to use the outside edge of this layer to cut this nice and even. Now in my stamp studio, I keep a pair of what I call sticky scissors, and they have a little red ribbon on them. And this is going to allow me to cut those sticky things without gunking up my real good ones. So I'm going to follow that white cardstock, and I'm going to come up along the lines, and using it as a guide, I'm cutting away the extra. So now I have a perfect cut on both sides, and it's not uneven. We're going to go ahead and we're going to mount this to the back side. And I'm going to be really careful not to place adhesive over this area where we did that decorative hole. I am, however, going to use a glue dot. And can you believe that those rolled off my table too? I'm telling you what, the one great thing about live is you just never know what's going to happen. All right, so we're going to compensate. And I'm going to go a little bit here and here as well. All right, so we're going to cheat because you know what? I don't even know. Yep, they're on the floor and I'm not going to bother with them. So how many of you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin? Paper Pumpkin is a way for you to stamp from home with a pre-made kit that Stampin' Up! Actually creates for you. We never know what it is. It's always a secret and it's always lots of fun. You get a free stamp set every single month. You get a free ink spot and everything is pre-cut and designed for you. In Paper Pumpkin's kit, you get these flat glue dots, so they're not on the roll. They're great for sequins, and they're also great when Lisa drops her roll of glue dots on the floor and can't reach them from the camera. So I'm going to place one right here on the back. This little paper backing is allowing me to burnish that paper right down inside, and then I'm going to pull off that paper backing so we can reveal that other sticky side. I put that there because I want to make sure that this corner does not lift off the base of my card. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to line that up and we're going to place that right on top of here. I told you it was easy, and who would have ever thought that a household eraser could provide so much fun color? Now, I made one other card for you tonight that's using these exact same products with just a little bit of a twist, and I want to share that with you as well. So I'm going to put that off to the side, and here is the alternative one. This one uses the Polka Dot Basics embossing folder just for some texture on that white. It's completely optional. If you don't have a big shot, obviously you don't have to do it. This strip is actually this strip across the bottom. I just mounted it this way. Instead of using this whole panel, I actually created a panel, and the exact same concept is here. I added a few iridescent sequins with some fine tip glue, and I made a little small bow. Same exact image. The only difference is this one is embossed, and this one has the detailed triple punch on it for a decorative corner. I hope you guys like that. Isn't that simple? And here's a card that you can create oodles of really quick in an assembly line format. This one, you're going to notice the circles are smaller. Do you see that compared to this one? This is the one I experimented with using the Stampin' Right marker. So I'm going to pull out a marker here. I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to actually do it on top of here. If you were to use this, you're going to need to go up and around these blooms because this marker will bleed into this color. So you need to be very, very careful if you are going to use a marker. But to be quite as honest with you, this is slick, isn't it? This works really, really well. So save yourself a pencil or two in your craft area and use them specifically to make polka dots and color in some of these solid images. Now, if you've liked the video, I would love it if you would give me a comment or, of course, share the video with friends or like the video. Let me flip you around so we can just chat a little bit more and you can see me. And that's better than talking hands, isn't it? It sure is. All right, I am so glad that you guys have joined me tonight. Really simple cards. I'm going to pick these up once again. I'm going to read through your comments really quick. I can see some of them scrolling across the screen. You guys like them. Oh, I'm so glad. You love them both. I would love to know which one is your favorite. Which one speaks to you? Which one is definitely more you than the other? I'm glad that you guys like this. I've got good news for you. I'm going to be back live with you. I wrote it down on July 12th, and I've got a fun fold that you're not going to want to miss for sure. Also, head over to my blog. There you can subscribe to my newsletter. It's a free e-newsletter, and in there I provide a tutorial that's not available on my other platforms. So I'd sure love to have you come along. And if you would subscribe to my blog while you're there as well. I'm reading your comments. You like them both. One likes the horizontal. You like the pencil eraser idea. The portrait with the long thin panel, you like them both. I'm so glad. You know, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, isn't it? Who would have thought that this little bit of pencil would have provided so much color? Well, thanks so much, everyone, for joining me. I'll come back and peruse your comments. If I've missed a question, I'm going to make sure that I come back and comment here below. If you're here live, those comments you'll be able to view under my community tab. You'll be able to find those there if you're looking for an answer from me. Otherwise, send me an email. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone, and I'll be back with you on July 12th. Yes, we'll be together. You guys have a great day. Bye.